We are joined by Davidson, partner of IBM Global Business Services, and he joins us here in Hong Kong. Good morning to you, Stephen. We were talking about complexity.
Yeah.
That seems to be the catchphrase for CEOs for this year. What does that mean in terms of the economy? Because, you know, we're hearing double dip, we're hearing depression. What are their assessments right now in terms of, I guess, the global economic headwinds?
Right. So just a little bit about the base first. So we interviewed 1,500 CEOs globally, over 100 CEOs in Greater China and 55 in China. What we're really doing today is focusing on what did those CEOs in China say that was different. But coming back to the point of complexity, I think for China, almost a double complexity. If we talk to the global CEOs, they will highlight things like the global financial tsunami, the impact of demands on sustainability and the environment, the shortage of commodities, and also the impact of technology as some of the things that mean that almost complexity is I have so many things to deal with every day, the company has to cope with so many shocks, that it's really hard for me to focus on my mid-term agenda. If I then look at China CEOs and what they said to us, they said, well, we face all of those things because we're going out into that global environment, but look at what's happening in China as well. We've got Chinese consumers now being far more demanding than they once were. They're becoming as sophisticated as a consumer anywhere else. We've also got restructuring of industries there. Government is restructuring 10 traditional industries, and you've got that great difference between the western provinces and the coast. So they've got a kind of double whammy.
Sophistication and development sound like pretty good things for the Chinese economy. In fact, we had the Forbes list announce its top 100 global enterprises list, and we had 7 Chinese companies in the top 100. That beats the number of Japanese companies. So we're seeing this level of sophistication, education, and development in the Chinese economy and the CEOs, which is a good thing.
Yes, and for us, working with CEOs who have really tremendous ambition, one of the things that came out very high for China CEOs was the notion of sustainability. Now, I think that includes the environment and sustainability for the rest of us, but it also means building a sustainable company that can be a leading global company over the years ahead.
Yeah, what about the regulatory environment in China? Obviously, that's a big hindrance for a lot of global CEOs that want to do business, foreign CEOs that want to do business in China. I'm curious to hear what Chinese domestic CEOs have to say, because it seems like the Chinese government has been accused of trying to develop their own China-made champions, homegrown champions, while basically deterring foreign competition in the marketplace.
Well, what I'd say is there are some differences in the way that people see the complexity that you asked me about at the start. I think that China CEOs see more complexity but less uncertainty than their peers in other parts of the world. And maybe that's because the China economy is still one that has kind of more government leadership and direction. The success of the stimulus package does probably provide China CEOs with a more stable environment. But what I would say is that most of the clients we work with, most of the CEOs we talk to, actually have global ambitions. So they're not sitting, as it were, in their own domestic market thinking, I'm okay here because things are protected. What they're actually doing is focusing on, I need to be out there competing in those other markets.
Yeah, do you think they have any advice for Tony Hayward right now?
Well, obviously our study was long before this happened, but what is interesting is how many CEOs talk about risk management as a really important part of what they need to do. And one of the key things that came out was optimizing operations in a way that gives much greater transparency. And as you're coping with all this complexity, really CEOs have to look at how can they have greater transparency to all the things that are going on.